All right, gents, thanks for joining me. Andy, let's first of all start with you. Obviously, you've been at Aveley a couple of years, bringing the team from Barking over to Aveley. How have you found it with the club? And obviously, just give us a bit of a background into your sort of footballing life yourself, for those that don't know you.
Yeah, so we've been over with the Aveley under-18s for a couple of years now. We was at Barking, as you rightly say, for 4 years. And George, Jack and Lewis came and approached us, and we had long conversations over the space of a few weeks about coming over to Aveley and trying to get us on side to join the movement that was Aveley. It is a tough one. It was a tough one for us because we've got a lot of Barking and Dagenham boys, and we worked hard to kind of get that club junior alliance wise where we wanted it to be. But we was kind of held back a little bit. There was a very good team a year above us, and we just didn't see the room that we could push the boys to step them up to the next level. And Aveley offered that to us. You know, at 15s, 16s, they offered us the route to go straight up to the under-18s. And it was the right thing to do for the boys at the time. So we took the opportunity with both hands.
And you've had 2 good years with the boys there as well.
I've had 2 fantastic years. I mean, the one thing we've not ended up with, disappointingly, was any sort of silverware. We was hoping to put that right this season. But last year, we had a massive year last year. We came second to a very, very good Hackney Wick side in the Junior Alliance. We had some brilliant FA Cup ties over at the stadium. You know, big crowds for under-18 games. Mackay got signed and is doing really well still. So that in itself was massive for us. So yeah, we've had 2 fantastic years. We've had a lot of boys progress, not just playing in the senior teams at Aveley, but we've had others go elsewhere at the same level. And the likes of Reggie playing over at Brentwood, fantastic for us. You know, he's gone over there, he's doing well for himself. And that's kind of what we was hoping to achieve more than anything else when we came over to Aveley.
And then obviously now this summer you're going to, or next season, should we say, taking over as the reserves manager. You've brought in like Jake and Apple with you and Sonny as well. Just a little bit of a background into them, and then obviously we'll get chatting to them.
Yeah, I mean, Sonny, I can't really get rid of. I've tried a few times, but he's my right hand man, and he's normally first up at the bar, so I can't get rid of Sonny. It's funny. Me and Apple tried to get these 2 teams together. Was it 2 years ago, Apple?
Yeah, about 2 years ago.
2 years ago, and the issue we had, we sat down, we had long drawn-out conversations. Now, for my money, at under 15s, we was probably the 2 best teams around. Us kind of over our way, over Barking and East London, and I think at the time Apples were Hadley.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And we both done a treble of sorts that season. It's funny. We spent sort of a year and a half going after each other on social media, which everyone will probably find easy to believe. But then when we actually thought about it, we sat down. The only reason this didn't happen 2 years ago, getting Apple and these boys over, was there was too many good boys to fit into one squad. And it wouldn't have been fair for the boys because they wouldn't have got the game time. There's a lot of boys that we both had for a lot of time that would have had to kind of make way to make that one squad and get the boys that was there the minutes that they would have needed to develop. So it didn't happen. You know, this has been something that's been in the pipeline for a couple of years now. It's finally happened. And we're really pleased. And as for Jake jumped in with the under-23s last year. For a young man, he's got good experience with what he's done, which I'm sure he'll tell you about himself when he comes on here. He's got energy. You know, that's key to him and to Apple, really. They're young, hungry coaches that they're looking to make a name for themselves and get themselves to good levels. So 2 real good people to have in and around this group and around the club.
Brilliant. Apple, if we come to you first then, just fill us in on your background in the game, if you can.
Yeah, sure. So I played to pro level, done okay, probably never really fulfilled the potential that I had as a player, but I made sure that wasn't the case when becoming a coach. So I joined Barnet at 27 as a player coach. Then Decided that coaching and management is what I wanted to do full time. Poured myself into it. Just finished my A license, and it's kind of been snowballing ever since. Been at MK Dons for about 9 months now, pushing a year, so for the whole season. Prior to that, I was at Potter's Bar, and prior to that, I was at Hadley. So there's been steady progression. But for me, this is a journey of progress for myself, and not just for the players that I coach and the people that I work with, but this is about self-progression and self-improvement. And I think my journey will probably outline my personality in terms of what I've done professionally outside of football and what I've done inside of football with regards to moving players on and career choices. So before football, I was a firefighter, and before being a firefighter, obviously I was a player. So it's always been in my nature to try to help people, being a coach, being a firefighter, doing these sorts of things. So it's a joy to be able to come back and work with people that you know and you love and you can really relate to, people like Andy. And that's kind of my journey up to now.
And I suppose it'll be quite a quiet bench with you two standing next to each other, won't it?
Yeah. Well, we certainly we turned a few heads in the past, that's for sure. And I think our conversations have always been very respectful. We've always been very respectful of each other. I think between us, I think it's fair to say we've won everything there is to win at amateur level. Certainly in youth football, numerous times at that. So there was always that element of respect because we knew what each other had achieved and what we were capable of coaching-wise, and the respect that we all had, and sort of that made things very easy when finally talking to each other on a level. And we've obviously clashed heads on the touchline a few times, but what people didn't know was the love and the friendship that was there behind closed doors. They didn't know of the relationship that actually existed. So people were paying to come and see a bloodbath, but they were really seeing two friends come together and sort of, it was really a game of chess more than a game of football, because it was a tactical game. And look, it's been absolutely brilliant. And like I said, it certainly makes a change to share a dugout with your biggest rival, which is odd considering he's one of my best friends. It's like, so now to be working together is just, well, it's kind of what dreams are made of, isn't it? You kind of want to work with your favourite people and the people that you know and love. So
there's an old saying, Apple. They say if you can't beat them, join them.
And that's why you want me here, huh?
Jake, yourself?
So for me, I've been coaching since I was 12 years old. Play amateur level. I've been coaching since I was 12 because I've always had a passion to either give back or to teach others. Started at Dagenham Redbridge as a volunteer, worked my way up. I think I was there for a good 9 or 10 years at Dagenham Redbridge. Done some work there, was the ladies manager and under 12s coach. Then from then, progressed through many things. I've done volunteering at Crystal Palace, scouting and coaching. Then got my first role as in the semi-pro game as head coach at Leighton Athletic in the Essex Senior League. That was very good, very interesting, and it was a good step up to learn from not just the players but from the coaches as well and other teams as well. So like having discussions with other managers and other clubs. And from there, I was working with Chelsea Foundation as well, doing coaching with them. Then last year, I was out in Tenerife running my own football academy there for 8 months. Come back, and then I got offered to work with George and Jack, just help coaching with them. And then I think they were at the first team, and then they sort of wanted someone to help out the 23s, and then it just went from there. Really, I was working with the 23s. Start coaching them, training and everything. And then it's just formed from there. And then being with Andy and Apple now for next season is something I'm really looking forward to So learning from people that have had much experience in the game as well. I'm all about self-development and learning every day. So for myself, in a selfish way, it would be good to learn from people that are either good at man management or I've had the experience with coaching as well. So for me, it's a massive learning curve, and it's something I'm really looking forward to as well.
Brilliant. Andy, what would you say would be sort of expectations for next year?
Look, I'd be lying if I said anything other than we go out to win every game and every competition. And if I said anything other than that, then at least one of the people we've got on this call would probably shut the call down himself, because he's going to come on and do the same. At the same time, the bigger picture is genuinely, we want these boys playing in this first team. We want these boys playing at as a high level as we can get them playing in. You know, ultimately that's what we want. But as I said, with the squad that we've got and with the people that we've got around the squad, there's no reason why we shouldn't be targeting each and every competition that we enter into. You know, but ultimately the bigger picture, look, if you ask anybody that's involved in running this team, and there's going to be 4 of us, look, we want what's best for the boys and for the people in the team. And if they're open-minded, and if they want to work hard, and if they want to progress, and if they're open to listening and learning, then a lot of these boys will have a future in the game.
And I suppose it helps as well because you've had them for a few years yourself, and then you've got above you like Jack and George looking back down because they've had some of the lads themselves as well. So it's obviously only going to be key for, like you said, the first team as well in the future.
Yeah, look, I think that's something, the second part what we've just said that I'll touch on first, that's something that I'm kind of relying and trusting Jack and George this year. And so is Apple, because he's bringing a host of fantastic players over as well. But we're kind of reliant that the club is going to take these young men seriously. If we didn't think they was, and if we didn't believe it, then we wouldn't be here this season. There's a fantastic pool of players that they're going to have to pick from for next season. And ultimately, we bring our own team as well. We bring our own crowd. We bring our own show. We're not just there to say, oh, look, pick 1 or 2 of us. We're looking to make our own waves in the non-league scene, kind of like Jack and George did. They did it 2 years ago. They was beating teams at the Essex Senior. You know, and everyone was like, oh, but they're a reserve, or they've dropped a first-team player in, or a couple of first-team players. That's all part of being a reserve side. You're there to facilitate and to help not only your own players move up, but if and when required, we'll be having some of the first-team players come in with us. And you know what? And that should be seen as something that's only positive for our boys anyway. But listen, in their own right, don't take nothing away from what we'll bring over there as a team. We're not built around 2 or 3 superstar players. We've got a fantastic squad coming over there for next season. You know, and I think people will be surprised at the strength and depth and the quality that we'll bring over there. You know, and if there's anyone that's doubting that before we've got over there, they know the people involved. You know, we don't ever come over there or anywhere to make numbers up. It's not in our nature. You know, and if we didn't have the right squad and we weren't going to compete, we wouldn't be here.
Apple, what's your take on that?
Yeah, well, to be honest, look, you know, we share very similar, if not the same views on what our remit is. You know, we're there to support the first team. We know that. My role as a coach is to try to help the growth of every player that comes, whether it be a first team player that steps down to the resis, or there's a reason for that. Either, you know, whatever those reasons are, I'm there to support them, support the young players, and obviously support Andy. And again, including the coaching staff as well. Anybody that needs help with anything, that's my role. If we were there to do anything other than win football matches, I wouldn't be a part of it. Winning is very much in my nature and in Andy's nature. And I think anyone that's going to be involved in our setup, they need to share a very similar, if not the same kind of mindset. It's all about development, but results now at this level are everything. You have to show you've got the ability mentally and physically and technically to win football matches. Because if you don't have that, then the first team manager is not going to really be looking at you. So it's that kind of mentality and that willingness to compete, an element of intensity with everything that we do. That's what I'm here for. So yeah, I pretty much mirror everything that Andy said, and I back that 100%.
We end all the calls in the same way, and we ask the people that are with us to sort of give us a insight into players that they've watched before. So Jake, we'll start with you. Who would be the best player that you've seen live?
I'm gonna have to cheat with this one because there's two. I can't decide. Michael Owen, Ronaldinho. Michael Owen, because obviously I'm a Liverpool fan, and from young, I think I went to a game at West Ham, and it was obviously we was in the away stand for Liverpool, and to see the way he was playing back then, when I was like a kid, scoring goals, and just how much of an impact he was in that team, because he was always seen as the little man, but he was always in the team. He was always the bigger person. He was always like coming out as a leader. He was just so clinical for the team, and stuff like that. It's very, what I say, it's what is key for a team as well. Because if you're having someone so little making impacts like that, it's sort of,
he was fearless, wasn't he? From a young age, he was fearless.
100%. It's going to scare other teams, and it's just that attitude, that fearless attitude he has. In my mind, they made him the most underrated player to win the Ballon d'Or. Most underrated player. Ronaldinho, what can I say about him? He's just, in my eyes, a legend. When I went to see him play at Emirates, I think against Argentina, it was just phenomenal. The way he was playing, I think it was with Adriano and that team at the time, that big team with Roberto Carlos and Kaká and all them. Like, seeing him play, it was like, how do I explain it? You know, when there's certain players you look at him, they're like, oh, whoa, it's like God. That's what Ronaldinho was like. When you saw him, he backed up what he was about. And also thinking about it now, and same with him, that team element, that how, even though he's such a big figure in the team, he was such a big leader, and people would go to him. It weren't just the one player mentality. It was a team effort, and them two players really stand out for me.
Apple, yours?
Mine comes from a little bit of a different angle. So I'm gonna approach it from being a player rather than being a spectator. I've had the privilege of playing with a lot of very decent guys, and one of the people that for me was just ability that you really have to be there to understand it. Yannick Bolasie, just levels, absolute levels. Just he can do pretty much everything that you can see some of the big names do. He's got so much in his locker. I just thought he's incredible. And one of the other lads, I can't really call him a lad, is just a world-class legend. You know, touching the training pitch with Edgar Davids was unbelievable. So, and he at times would show how he was world-class. He would show with his touches and his passes and his ability to improvise and his ferocity, his intensity. And again, Edgar's a very small man. So, you know, to share a training pitch with him and him be my gaffer and also be a friend, that's a big deal. And just watching that kind of ability is just unbelievable. And that's not to leave some of the other guys that I've played and trained with, guys like Ashley Young and even his brother Lewis, who for me was untouchable as well. But Yannick Bolasie was just like another level, just a completely different level. His centre of gravity and balance, his power, his pace. He's got the ability. He's got all the right tools to be world class. So approaching it as a player, they were the guys that for me I'd seen and shared a football pitch with and thought, wow, like that's levels. But as a spectator, I have to say Ronaldinho and Cristiano Ronaldo were just different. And that's the only thing I can really say about them. They're just different, unhuman.
Well, going on Bolasie, why do you think he never really hit the heights? Because I think we can all see the ability there. He's second to none.
Yeah.
Why do you think he's never hit the heights and gone on to be sort of one of them big superstars as such that we all look at and people go out and buy their tops and shirts? And why has he never touched on top teams?
If Yannick ain't going to see this, then I'll say. Yannick's issue is that he's not technically apt for that level. Tactically apt. So Yannick struggled tactically. Every manager that's ever coached him has fallen in love with him immediately. Similar to Nani in the sense where Nani had more ability than charisma and Ronaldo. and you have to go some to have more ability than charisma. But tactically, he just sort of never really ticked the box. And for Yannick, if he wasn't playing to his strengths, which I reckon was really a matter of circumstance, I think when he was at his best at Palace, just untouchable. But again, the tactics were about him and Wilfred. And so him and Zaha, they played for those two. And I think Yannick and Zaha were both on that radar of getting big moves. And unfortunately for Yannick, he made a choice to go to Everton. And the injuries that he had, just when I thought he was going to elevate, I thought, right, this move to Everton is going to be brilliant for him. Everton were poor, and his injuries were atrocious. And even now, just to see him back again playing at Lisbon was just like, wow, I'm shocked you've come back and you're showing levels. But for Yannick, it's just a matter of, for him, if he plays for a manager that isn't playing with width and playing with freedom for those wingers, then you won't see the best from Yannick. If he has to track back and do a lot of defending inside the pitch, those inside corridors, that's where he's weak. So unfortunately for Yannick, he's not fulfilled his potential simply because of coaches and managers that he's played under. And then when he made that move to Everton, not only were they poor, but he suffered some horrific injuries. So.
And Andy, your one?
Tough. I've watched the good years over at Arsenal for a long, long time. We've also had the dry years that have been over the last couple of years. But for me, I'll probably go another ex-Palace man. I'll go Ian Wright. For me, watching him growing up over the years, it's like watching a fan play on the pitch. He for me, he's what every young boy wants to be. You can see the passion. You can see that never say die. And on top of that, the finishing ability, unreal. He's another one. I think as good as Ian Wright was, did he make it to maybe what his potential said he should have done? I don't know, but for me, fantastic character, player in and around the pitch. And as I say, he's just like a fan running around. You see, he loves his football. He loved his club. He went and enjoyed himself, and it's very, very lucky man to get paid for doing something he quite clearly enjoys so much.
Yeah, I agree. Even being a United fan, I grew up, my dad was an Arsenal fan, and my dad idolised Ian Wright. There was two players my dad said to me when I was little that you have to watch play. Both are class, and both will be world class in the future. And sadly, one of them didn't happen. The other one was David Rocastle. Just outstanding player. And unfortunately, obviously, David died of cancer in 2001, and my dad died of cancer as well about 6 months later. But both him and Wright were just class, weren't they?
He was the one when we first started going that my dad couldn't get enough of David Rocastle. He's a fantastic player, but again, they kind of carried the fan spirit and wore it on their chest. So you could see how much it meant to them. And as I say, as young men over there, that's what we all wanted to be doing. But you don't get many that play like their actual fans. They gave everything for the team and for the fans and for the club. And that's the kind of Arsenal that probably most Arsenal fans now will look back and think we want to be that team. We wish we was back there being that team again, because it wasn't a better place to be around at the time.
No. Brilliant.